Okay, today we're going to go through our no hands Allegra, which is definitely one of my favorite moves. Obviously, a prerequisite for this move is to be really solid in your Allegra and also your inside leg hang as well. Because the no hands Allegra really relies on a really strong elbow grip, I would definitely make sure that you feel confident in an elbow grip and also your inner thigh grip. So the inside leg hang is a good one to have feeling really confident in before you give this one an attempt. So you can, of course, lower down into this move. Today though, for this video, I'm going to invert up into it with a leg switch and then lower down into the no hands Allegra. So what we'll do is we'll go through how to do the move, so just the simple steps on how to get into it, and then we'll talk about how to hold the move, which is really important, particularly in a no hands move, because you really need to know which muscles to squeeze into the pole so that you feel confident and that you're not going to fall. And then at the end, we'll talk about how to finesse the move, how to get into it, and how to get out of it nicely. So let's just start with how to actually do the move and the grip points that you need. So when you go into your Allegra, you have your leg hooked in your inside leg hook, and of course we use the same hand to go around the outside of that leg, and that's really what sets up the grip. So we're actually going to use that same premise to get into this move. So you're going to use the same hand, the same arm as the leg that is hooked to come around to the outside and hook just at the back of the knee. That's where we want our grip. And then from there, we're going to lower down and hook our bottom elbow. Now, when you do this, the lowering down part is really going to depend on how much back flexibility you have and also your shoulder kind of rotation and mobility as well, because you do need some pretty decent shoulder rotation to get your elbow hooked around the bottom of the pole whilst your leg is still in that inside leg hook. So let's just try that first. We'll go up into our invert or drop down if you need to. We'll wrap that outside arm like we're going to go into our standard Allegra, and then from there we'll lower down and hook that bottom elbow. So let's just try that first. So up into an invert, bit of a leg switch. Of course, if you want to go straight into your inside leg hang here, you can. I always like to go from more of a flatline position because it really sets your shelf grip nicely. So bottom hand, same arm as the leg that is hooked, it's going to come in the back of the knee here. And then we're going to lower down and wrap that bottom elbow. Now, as soon as you wrap it around the pole, squeeze your bicep and lock it in. So they're really the most important grip points of this move: your shelf, your inside leg, and that bottom elbow. So like any elbow grip, as soon as you wrap it, squeeze it. So think about squeezing your hand towards your shoulder, and most importantly, engage your bicep muscle. So that's how you're going to hold that nice and strong. So from there, we are going to bring our outside leg forward into a straddle. So even though the direction of the leg is coming forward, think about it as coming towards your head and then pointing it down towards the floor. Now, this is important because when you point your leg down towards the floor, it tips your hips and it makes it, I don't want to say easy, but I'm going to say easier to unwind the leg that's in your inside leg hang to an extension with those hips tipped like this. So you don't really want to be in a flat straddle, you actually want to be in a tilted straddle. So we're going to get into it again with in that same order. So we'll invert, we'll take the outside arm around and into the gap at the back of the knee. Bottom elbow is going to wrap around the pole and then engage before you do anything else, so squeeze it in. Then our outside leg is going to come towards our face and then down towards the floor. And then from there, the more you can push your inside leg into the pole, the easier it's going to be to unwind that leg and extend. And when you do unwind and extend, you want to think about pointing your toes up towards the ceiling. So again, even though it's a straddle, it's really tilted like this. So your leg comes off and your toes point up. And it will naturally create a straddle shape anyway. So let's give that a go in that order as well. So we'll come up into our invert. So again, if you go from this more flatline position, really locks in your shelf grip. So same arm as leg, bring it to the back of the knee. Let's wind down the pole. Outside arm goes around the back, squeeze and engage. Now, back leg comes forward, point it down towards the floor, and then top leg squeezes and holds. And then when you feel confident, you can take that arm off. So that arm coming off is going to happen when you feel like your inside leg is pushing into the pole. So that's kind of how we do the move. And now really we just need to emphasize all of those grip points in order to hold the move and feel confident to take that arm off. So one thing that we often forget when there's so much to think about, especially when we're a little terrified as well, holding onto the pole but with no hands, sometimes we forget that our legs actually play a huge role in holding a position, especially while you're spinning. So when you bring your leg, firstly your outside leg, when you bring it toward your face and down towards the floor, really engage your leg. So pull up from your kneecap, point your toes and lengthen through your ankles. All of this will help you to hold your shape and make it easier to unwind that leg and take your hand off the pole. So really engage your leg and extend it down towards the floor. And same deal applies to the leg that is winding around the pole, your inside leg. When you extend it, don't just unwind it, engage and pull up your quad muscles and extend and out through the toes and lengthen through your ankle. And those two unfolding actions of your legs and engaging will help you get into the no hands part, so taking that hand off the pole. Now, another little tip that really works here as well is when you extend your inside leg off the pole, look up. It just really helps you to gain balance and gain a sense of where you are in space, which really helps with a no hands move when you're upside down and spinning. So looking up really helps. It's also, of course, a very nice line to do that, but you could also have a little look at the direction of where your leg is extending or where your toes are pointing. So all things considered, looking up really, really helps with this move as well. So in that order, we're going to try it again. So we'll just talk it through first. So we'll go up into our invert, we'll go up into that flatline position so that our shelf is really sticking onto the pole. Outside hand wraps around to grab the back of the knee. Make sure that you have a nice solid grip here. A lot of the time I see, especially when we're thinking about the next move, sometimes when we wrap this hand around, we don't quite make a good grip, and it's going to make that really difficult to lock into that inside leg grip. So really wrap around the pole, bottom arm comes down, wrap the elbow and engage. Now we're kind of locked in our position. Then the back leg or bottom leg will come forward, and remember to engage your leg and extend it down and tip it down towards the floor. And then inside leg, which is still wrapped around this pole, is going to extend up towards the ceiling, engage the quads, and then the more you push this thigh into the pole, the better you're going to feel when it comes time to take that arm off. So let's try putting all of that together with looking up in that extension as well. So we'll come up into our invert. And we'll get a nice solid grip at the back of the knee. Bring it down, bottom arm, squeeze. Now, engage the bicep, Engage the leg muscles and point the toes down towards the floor. Let's look up and extend that leg up. Push the thigh into the pole and then extend. That is quite difficult to talk and do at the same time. Okay. All right, so now, of course, it still looks really nice when you just keep your hand on the pole because you're in a straddle Allegra, which always looks beautiful anyway. But to get that final little extension, those little tips really help. Looking up, tipping the hips, engaging the legs, squeezing the bicep, and pushing the thigh into the pole. Because it is a no hands, I definitely, if you haven't done a lot of moves like this before, definitely grab a mat just in case. It's just going to make you feel a little bit safer when you're practicing these moves. So definitely do it with a crash mat or some cushions at the bottom of the pole several times before you give it a real go without anything there. Just even if you don't need them, it still just keeps it all a lot safer. And let's just talk about finessing the move. Now, as always, the finesse of the move really doesn't come into play until you've practiced the move enough so that you feel really confident. That's what matters, is that you're safe and you feel confident. Then you can start to finesse it and think about the lines that you're making, your gaze direction, and how to make it look beautiful and graceful. So, of course, our entry and our exit really matters. But most importantly, for anything where we have long lines like this, it really does come down to those extensions. So, extending out through your toes, and then when this hand comes off the pole, when you extend it up, I always think about floating the arm rather than just taking it off and reaching it up. I kind of like to release it slowly and then float it up towards the ceiling. And something that always works in this particular pose is to lengthen your arm in the same direction as your leg. So what I mean by that is, as your leg extends, try to make the same line with your arm. So if you can see how if you extend your arm up here, it just changes the shape a little bit, which of course, if you want to, you can. But just with the beauty of this move, I think it's really nice when you lengthen your arm at the same angle and the same direction and line as your leg. It just looks really lovely. So as you're spinning, never worry about rushing into the move. Take your time, feel confident first, and then slowly release that top hand to reach it in the same direction as that leg. And we've talked about our gaze direction as well. So let's put all of it together with that little touch of finesse as well, and not rushing, just getting into it slowly and getting out of it with control as well. So we'll come up into our invert, point those toes, lift, take your time, set that shelf, and now we will swap the hand, so bring it around, lower down, hook the elbow, give it a squeeze. Bottom leg goes towards the floor, tip the hips, let's look up, point the toes, extend, push the thigh in, same direction, arm and leg. Grab the pole, pull up, and that's it.